This is a team, dare I say, more of a defensive kind of running team. And I never thought that in the Mahomes era, I would say that. We're on the goal line, we're at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line. Just punch it in, man. Stop doing all this cute shit in the backfield and we lose like a yard or two, or we don't get the line to gain. It's frustrating. I need to humble y'all a little bit. You guys haven't won anything, so relax. Anyways, early since Joe Namath, but I won't rub salt in the wound there. It's okay. You've been through enough. The butt fumble. Sorry, let me let me stop. What's going on, everyone? You are listening to the Antonio Chauran Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Antonio Chauran, the one and only. And Victory Monday. Let's get it. Was it the prettiest win? No. But was it a win? Yes. So I will take it. But I definitely have a few thoughts on this game. The whole thing with the refs and the holding call that people said wasn't a holding call on Sauce Gardner, all of the stuff with, Mahomes throwing 2 picks, Zach Wilson outplaying Patrick Mahomes. Should we worry about the Chiefs and blah, blah, blah? Shut up. We'll get into that. But being an objective Chiefs fan like myself, we're fine. Anyways, let's get going. I'm just going to get this out of the way. Let's talk about the refs. It was a bad showing of the referees last night, and I'm not going to dispute that, but let's be fair here. There were bad calls on both sides. Let's start with the Jawan Taylor face mask, which was a face mask. I'm not disputing that, but it happened literally at like the 1 or 2 yard line. The initial grab happened, and it was like his hand was in his face mask before it got into the end zone. And the only reason why they call it a safety is because they were saying that the face mask happened it initiated in the end zone, and that did not happen. And they obviously spotted them 2 points. At that point, we were already up 17-0. And then 17-2, they get the ball back, they go down, score, and obviously the whole game changed. 2 very bad, uncharacteristic interceptions thrown by Mahomes as well. Obviously, we'll get into that. Let me finish with the refs here. The big play of the game that everyone was talking about was that hold by Sauce Gardner on Marquez. It was a hold, okay? It was a hold. I think the main thing that people are getting annoyed about is the fact that the flag was thrown so late. Now, why was it thrown late? I don't know. I feel like if the flag was thrown quicker when the hold actually took place, then maybe there wouldn't have been. Now, look, everyone's always going to complain about flags, especially when it's kind of nip and tuck. But at the same time, it was a holding. And the whole thing that, all the Chiefs get bailed out by the refs again, Mahomes can't win without the ref, and blah, blah, blah. Dude, shut up, bro. You know what's going on here? And you know what? It's all good. Being a Chiefs fan, that I'm relishing in this. We're being treated by the fans like the Patriots. Mahomes is Tom Brady now. He's getting that Tom Brady treatment, and the Chiefs are the Patriots. We are the new Patriots, and you can't tell me that we're not, because anytime you see it now, any game that the Chiefs win and we get a favorable call here and there, all the games fixed, it's rigged, this and that. Shut up. All right, like, we did what we had to win that game, and there were bad calls on the Jets side, but there were also bad calls on our side as well. On that play on 3rd and 22, when Pat went to go get that first down, Kelsey he was going out like on an out route, kind of like to this towards the sideline. He couldn't even break out of his route because the freaking lineman, I don't know who it was or if it was a linebacker, literally spun him, like grabbed him and spun him around on that play. And you could see it too. I saw Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey getting ready to go up in front of Kelsey to screen, and he couldn't even get out behind the lineman because he was spun out and knocked down to the ground on that play. So again, you can say there are bad calls with the Jets, and I agree. I think that call though, um, I thought that was a flag. I thought it was a holding. And also there was a really bad holding call on Trey Smith, our lineman. Um, I didn't think it was a hold, and if it was a weak call, if that, and that was on third down. That was a completion to Kelsey. That would have been first down, but obviously with the flag, they had to replay third down, take us back 10 more yards, and yeah. So like, don't hit me with all that, okay? Just don't, because there can be an argument made that the Chiefs were getting screwed a little bit by the refs as well, and it felt like that all game. So no, we're not going to do that because at the end of the day, even though Mahomes had a bad game by his standards, he did what he needed to win. And at the end of the day, great quarterbacks, they will do that. They can have an off game. Every great quarterback has an off game. Every great athlete in the NFL, whether if it's QB, wide receiver, running back, whatever the case may be, everyone will have a bad game every once in a while. But it's the great ones that really separate from everyone else when, even if they are having a really bad game, they can still find ways to win the game. And that's what Mahomes did. So, yeah, let's pivot a little bit here. I want to give some love to Zach Wilson because he has been dealing with a lot. Obviously, this offseason you get Aaron Rodgers because Zach Wilson is not your guy. Or you maybe want Aaron Rodgers to kind of lead by example, and maybe Zach Wilson can kind of see him as a mentor, kind of like when Alex Smith was leading the Chiefs, and obviously we draft Mahomes, and he sits out for a year, watches Alex Smith, and then inevitably becomes the guy. I know this dynamic is a little bit different, but you know it's been tough for Zach Wilson. And look, has he deserved a lot of it? Yeah. But it's also tough being in the New York market where you're going to get criticized for everything. But he played really well. He played really well last night, and I got to give him his credit because, you know, you were down 17 to nothing at one point, and then, at half, you're able to, get it down to one possession, 20 to 12, and then you come out of the gate in the third quarter and you put together arguably, if not one of the best drive of your career. Um, he went all the way down 75 yards and was just throwing dot after dot. Like there was this one to one of his tight ends, I forget his name. I think it was Uzama, if I remember correctly, or it may have been another one. It was perfectly thrown back shoulder to the sideline, just like in the basket. And I think Snead was on him, or Justin. No, I think it was Snead. And it was the only ball, like the only person that could catch that ball was his guy, and it was perfect. I was like, oh my god, like this was the QB that the Jets have been longing for in Zach Wilson, and they saw it in spurts last night. And you know, I'm not a really big moral victory guy. I mean, there can be moral victories, of course, but I definitely know, especially when teams should win and they lose, and you say it's a moral victory, it's not. But I guess there can be a case made where a team that definitely should not have been in that game, or even almost win that game, you can say that in this scenario where the Jets, everything after week one against the Bills and that overtime win, weeks 2 and 3, they just got freaking romped. And then you go into week 4 against the defending Super Bowl champs, and you almost come out with the win. I think with that, that can be a moral victory for them. We'll see how it kind of goes for these next few games they got coming up. But, you know, you got to give Zach Wilson his credit. He played really well. Hopefully, this is a game where he kind of gained some confidence back and gained the locker room back, because a lot of his guys have not been on his side. And again, rightfully so, because he is putting them in positions for them to lose. And then obviously, I mean, he still had that moment last night where he fumbled the snap, and then we were able to take the ball back and then eventually just run out the clock and win the game. Um, but we'll see what kind of goes forward with the Jets there. But at the end of the day, the better team won. Typically, in Chiefs wins, it is easy to go to the man of the match, typically being Patrick Mahomes. But today, I want to say that it was Isaiah Pacheco. Pacheco finished 115 rushing yards, total of 20 carries, 5.8, so about 6 yards per carry, a touchdown, and he also had 43 receiving yards on 3 receptions. So let's do some quick math here. Carry the 1. He finished with a total of 158 total yards, both from rushing and receiving yards. I mean, he killed it. I love Pacheco, man, because this is kind of a slight flex, but I don't care. I got to see the Chiefs go to the White House to get honored for winning the Super Bowl, and I was there in person, and it was super dope to see everyone in person. And I was like just being a total fanboy, but okay, so what? Anyways, I yelled at Pacheco. He didn't hear. I don't think he heard me, because this was after President Biden had come out and said his remarks and stuff. And at this point, everyone was just kind of like standing there. We couldn't get close to them because there was like a little fence there, and you couldn't like obviously go over and like get to the players. But I yelled at Pacheco. I'm like, "Hey man, you're getting 1,000. You're at least getting 1,000 this year, rushing yards. I meant." And so far, he's on track. Now look, this is definitely his best. Well, this is, I think, the most scrimmage yards he's gotten in an NFL game so far in his career. Granted, he's only been in the league. This is the second season now. But so far, he has 270 yards. Okay. I understand you're like, he's on track. Why? Hear me out. He only has 55 carries, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, averaging about 5 yards per carry. This is a Chiefs team that is not like past teams in Mahomes' career so far, or even when Andy Reid has taken over. This is a team, dare I say, more of a defensive kind of running team. And I never thought that in the Mahomes era, I would say that. If you look at the wide receivers that we have, and I've talked about this isn't a team that has any deep threats. We just don't. And I've said this over and over again. We don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. We don't have a Stephon Diggs. We don't have a Justin Jefferson. We don't have a Jamar Chase. We don't have, any guys like that. We just don't. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, and I get scarred, and I have gotten scarred from teams that we've played, like Brady with the Patriots, for example, where they just run out the clock and we cannot get the ball back. And that's how they end up winning the game. This is a team that can win games like that now. This is a team that doesn't just score in like 2.5, 3 minutes, go 75 yards in 5 or 6 plays. This isn't a team like that anymore. But what we can do is we can take 5, 6, 7 minutes off the clock, go down 75, 80 yards in 10 or 12 plays, and still put up 7. This team can do that. And look, I know with the run, a lot of it is predicated on that O-line. Jawan Taylor, he's kind of been a sore spot for these past 4 games. He has 10 penalties through 4 games, which is not good. And we definitely need to fix that. Um, but look, obviously having Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Tooney up there as well. Like, come on. We got guys up there that can make holes. And with Pacheco being, the bruiser that he is, like he just runs like he's mad. And I love that. That's what you want in a running back. You want a guy that just goes in there, hits the hole hard. That's what you want in a running back. And that's what we got in Pacheco. People have kind of been comparing him a little bit to Marshawn Lynch. I won't go that far yet because Beast Mode was a different animal. Let's give Pacheco a few more seasons and then maybe we can try to have that conversation. But I want to give my respect to Marshawn there. That's no insult to Pacheco either. I mean, I'm sure he would tell you the exact same thing. Again, he's only in his sophomore season, man. He's only been in the league 2 seasons, so let's give him some time. But the reason why I'm so confident that he could definitely reach 1,000 yards is just with how this team is built. And obviously, historically, Andy Reid is not a run first coach. He's a pass happy coach. And, that has fed into some frustrations with Chiefs fans over, the past couple seasons, just because there have been so many instances where it's like third and short, second and short, or even fourth and short, and we don't run the ball. We do like all of this crazy motion in the backfield, and we just overcomplicate things, in my opinion, when we can just run it up the middle. We need a yard or two. We should be able to do that. We're on the goal line. We're at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line. Just punch it in, man. Stop doing all this cute shit in the backfield, and we lose like a yard or two, or we don't get the line to gain. It's frustrating, and so I think, given the fact that this team has kind of morphed into how it is for this season, um, not I don't want to say like it kind of leaves Andy no choice, but I feel like he kind of sees the writing on the wall with how this team is kind of formed for this season, and we can try and we should be a more run happy offense. I really do. We have big tight ends too. Obviously, we have Travis Kelsey, look, who isn't like a blocker. He's not like George Kittle, I think, is the best blocking tight end in the entire league. And obviously, just overall tight end, him and Kelsey are up there. They're like 1 and 2 or 1A, 1B, however you want to say it. Um, but we also have Noah Gray, a big body. We have Blake Bell, another big body. Jordy Fortson at one time, but he was out at the beginning in like preseason or even in training camp. I can't remember, but he tore something. I don't remember exactly, but he's out for the season. But yeah, we have big tight ends as well to help with the blocking game. So we can do that stuff. And, kind of with the 1-2 with Pacheco, and obviously I know I've just been talking about him, but with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's kind of in his last season. He hasn't renewed his contract. So after this season, he could be a free agent. So, this is kind of a season where I think he wants to try to prove himself as well. But obviously, Pacheco's the number one guy. He fought for that position and he got it, and rightfully so. No shade on Clyde, but again, it just look at the tape, man. Look at the games. Like Pacheco has been the better back. And obviously with McKinnon, he's not your typical running back where he's like a bruiser. He's more so kind of a finesse back where he can do a lot with the yards after catch. He can, he's a really good, guy where you kind of get him out in space and just see what he does. And yeah, he's really good with stuff like that. And he's good with reading the situation. And I think he was a former quarterback, if I remember correctly. So, and that's what's so crucial, I think, especially when it comes to guys like Travis Kelsey, who have played the quarterback position. They know in certain situations what the quarterback sees and what he's looking at and what he's trying to do. And so they're all kind of like one brain, like one nucleus. And it's great to watch and it's beautiful to watch. Obviously, there's a situation last night where typically Mahomes and Kelsey are on the same page. And that was almost, I think you all know if you saw the game last night what I'm referring to, where it was an option where he could either like run inside or run outside, and he kind of did a double option where instead of going inside, he went back out, and CJ Mosley was right there he was talking a lot of smack too. He was really pissing me off. This is why I also love Pacheco. Sorry, I keep kind of digressing, but bear with me. Um, they were just talking so much to Pacheco too. Like anytime he got hit, because there was this one time Isaiah got hit, but he got close to the first yard or first down or almost a first down, and he got hit, and then he started doing some push-ups, and then like the next play, he got like stuffed, or he maybe got like 1 or 2 yards, and then that guy, no, he didn't get stuffed. He got like 5 or 6 yards on the next one. He broke one tackle, and then he got popped the next one, and then the guy that tackled him started doing push-ups. Like, bro, that's why I'm so happy to beat the Jets because they love to talk a lot. I mean, they got Aaron Rodgers that didn't know how to act, and then yeah, you're 1-3 now. I know I gave Zach Wilson his praise, but I need to humble y'all a little bit. You guys haven't won anything, so relax. Anyways, or at least since Joe Namath. But I won't rub salt in the wound there. It's okay. You've been through enough. The butt fumble. Sorry, let me let me stop. But yeah, and so I like that Pacheco was really showing that fire last night. He's in his home state. He's from Jersey. He's a Jersey kid. He went to Rutgers. He went to high school in Jersey. Like that's his town. That's his city. And so I like the fact that he was showing that passion there. And Pat, he talked about it too. But anyways, back to the play that I was talking about with Kelsey. CJ Mosley, he dropped that ball, which definitely could have been his third interception for sure. Like I was really surprised and happy that he dropped it. But that's just kind of a play. Again, these guys have been together for 6-7 seasons. That's not a play you typically see. Again, I just think it was kind of a night where things were off. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the greats find a way to win. Even if it's not their night, they still find a way to win. So, yeah. Really quickly, too, before we get out of here, again, I got to say, I'm really excited about my defense. I love how we're looking right now. They only, aside from the safety, they let up 18 points. And obviously with the turnovers from the offense, from Pat, they gave the Jets short field on a lot of those drives. And so you can't really fault the defense too much for that. And so I really like how we're looking right now. I really do. It was concerning because we really didn't get a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson early on. It kind of came late, but there were so many instances where we got home, but we just couldn't bring him down. Like Karlaftis, he missed a few tackles, so that was frustrating. But again, that'll come with time. So it was nice to see, at least towards as the game went on, that we were getting closer and closer. But initially, man, we weren't getting any penetration. We weren't getting any pressure. And so, it would be nice to kind of set the tone from the jump that we're going to be there and that it kind of doesn't draw out like the way it did. Obviously, you want your defense to get there when it matters, but it's also nice to have that consistency where from the jump, you're like, we're here and we're going to be putting pressure on you. But other than that, there are some other instances too. I mean, Trent McDuffie, he got burnt on one play by Garrett, and he like kind of made up the time a little bit. Or no, it wasn't on Garrett. It was Alan Lazard. He got burnt, and then he tried to make it up. And honestly, I'm surprised he didn't like bump into him and like didn't knock him over. That definitely could have been a pass interference on McDuffie. Lazardi still made an incredible catch. But yeah, so there was that instance, and then Snead, he got beat a few times there. So, just really need to shore up the corners there. But McDuffie overall has had a great season so far, and Snead, he's a guy that QBs definitely want to avoid because he can take out your best player as well, or definitely challenge them. So yeah, I'm really happy with how our defense is looking right now. Nick Bolton was out again, so hopefully he's in next game against the Vikings. That'll be an interesting game for sure. I feel good about that game. Yeah, and I will say, going forward, there's really not a team till after the bye week that I'm concerned about. And you're probably like, you play Miami week 9. Well, did you see how Miami got freaking rocked against the Bills who put up 48 on them? Hey, look, I know they put up 70 against the Broncos, And obviously the Broncos came back and beat the Bears. Man, the Bears. I'm gonna put this out there. Chase Claypool apparently not doing well with the Bears. Bears are probably looking to shop him before the October 31st deadline. Maybe Chiefs could try to get him. And look, I'm not saying he's like that guy, but he's an experienced wide receiver. He's with the Bears. Bears have not been utilizing any of their guys well. Um, I would say Mike Evans, but they're looking kind of good right now. And I think he's more so of a guy that we can go after this season, not obviously halfway through the season. So we'll see what goes on there. But hey, Chase Claypool, I'm just gonna throw that out there. Just saying. Anyways, but yeah. Anyways, I just kind of wanted to give my reactions to the game last night. 3-1, we're looking good, and we've won each game differently. Obviously, the loss in week 1, that was tough. But like I said, we did everything to lose that game, and we still only lost by 1 point. Week 2, very defensive game where we put up only 17, but we hold the opposing team and the Jacksonville Jaguars to 9 points, 3 field goals, and then we completely rocked the Bears, 41-10. Offense looked amazing, defense looked great. And then last night, week 4 against the Jets, offense comes out swinging, go up to a 17-0 lead, and then a lot of mental mistakes and mental errors gets them back into the game. And, defense still plays well, but the offense put them in tough positions. So, they put up 20, we get 23. And that last drive, we really milked the clock there, get some favorable calls, but calls that should have been called. All right. Let's just call it what it is. You can tell me all you want that it was a bad call. It was a holding call. And the last thing I'll say here is this. And this is like a controversial topic or whatever, but when it comes to making calls in big time moments in games, a lot of people are like, let him play. Let him play. And this was a topic of conversation when we won the Super Bowl against the Eagles, that hold against Bradbury on Juju. Everyone was like, that wasn't a hold. And like, that's not a call you make in that time in the game. If it's a call that you make early in the game, like in the first quarter, you're not going to complain. But because it's at a crucial time in the game, when the game is in the balance and it can make or break a win or a loss for this or that team, what difference does that make? It's still a foul. It's still a foul. It is. I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter if it's in the first 5 minutes of the game or the last 5 minutes of the game. He impeded his route. Marquez wanted to cut in, and Sauce didn't let him. He grabbed him. He literally grabbed across his jersey. You can't do that. That's a hold. Okay? Textbook, that is a hold. Now, look, were there other bad calls in the game that made the refs look suspect? Yes, absolutely. But that particular call was the right call. And look, if it was on the flip side, would I be salty about it? Absolutely. But there were plenty of calls that went in the Jets' favor that screwed us over. But you know what? It is what it is. And because, look, and I'll be transparent, am I more forgivable of that because we won the game? Absolutely. So I understand the standpoint from Jets fans. They're like, oh, that wasn't a call. The refs screwed us. No, the refs gave you plenty of favorable calls as well. So I don't want to hear it. The better team won. You guys made the mistakes when you shouldn't have. And we made the right choices when we needed to win that game. And that's that. The better team won. We made the better choices in crucial moments, and you did it. That's what it comes down to, and you can't tell me differently. So anyways, I will end on that. Thank you all for listening. I will be back on Wednesday with more reactions to week 4 of the NFL, and then we're going to get a preview of week 5 of this NFL season 2023-2024. Thank you all for listening. I'll see you all later. Peace.